On July 21st, 1979, a 14-year-old boy went missing. 4 days later, another teenage boy also disappeared. Both boys were found on July 28th. They had been murdered. Their bodies were left in a wooded area, just 150 feet away from each other. Little did the police know that this would be the start of a series of murders that would haunt Atlanta for decades to come. From 1979 to 1981, within a period of 22 months, 29 black children and young adults were murdered in the streets of Atlanta. The police would arrest Wayne Williams in connection to 2 of the murders. He would later be convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But although the police believed him to be the Atlanta child killer, he was never convicted of any other murders. Some people believe that Williams was merely a scapegoat, that someone else had committed the murders and the authorities had covered it up. Others think that there are multiple murderers. Was the case truly solved, or was justice denied for dozens of grieving parents? Join us as we explore the case of the Atlanta child murders to find out what most likely happened. Edward Hope Smith, 14, went missing on July 21, 1979. Though this event devastated his family, it didn't make waves in the community. 4 days later, Alfred Evans, 13, also went missing. The police found Alfred's body in a wooded area. He was shirtless and barefoot, and he had been strangled. While investigating the area, the officers discovered a strange odor. It was coming from the decomposing body of Edward Hope Smith. This time, the boy had been shot. Both murders were dismissed by the authorities as drug-related. No one thought that this was merely a prelude of something far more sinister. Only a few months later, on September 4th, another boy went missing. 14-year-old Milton Harvey. He went on an errand to the bank for his mother. He was riding a bike, which was found a week later in a remote area. But police didn't find his body until November. He had been strangled. On October 21st, Yusuf Bell, 9, was asked by a neighbor, Eula Birdsong, to buy Bruton snuff at Reese Grocery on McDaniel Street. According to a witness, Yusuf got into a blue car at the intersection of McDaniel and Fulton Street. His body was later found in a crawl space inside the abandoned E.P. Johnson Elementary School on November 4th, just 4 blocks from his house. He still had the clothes he was wearing when he went missing. Though he had been hit on the head twice, authorities found that his cause of death was strangulation. Despite the increasing number of children going missing and found dead, the authorities still did not link these cases as related. But the community was starting to fear the worst. On March 4, 1980, the first female victim was reported missing. Angel Lanier, 12, was found strangled, raped and tied to a tree on March 10th, just a few blocks from the apartment she lived in with her mother. Just a day after the discovery of Angel's body, 10-year-old Jeffrey Mathis went missing after he went out to buy something for his mom at the store. According to her, she had already warned her child to avoid talking to strangers. The FBI found his remains 11 months later. By this point, the parents residing in the communities had become increasingly aware of the danger. Many imposed curfews on their children. Despite their precautions, many children continued to go missing. All of the victims were African American. The circumstances of their deaths varied. Some were strangled, others were beaten or stabbed. Some were even shot. Worse, there were a few victims whose cause of death were undetermined. Many African American communities in and around Atlanta felt frustrated by the lack of action from the Atlanta mayor, Maynard Jackson, and the police. So the parents decided to join forces and formed the Committee to Stop Children's Murders. Their purpose was to push the police to become accountable for the stalled investigations of the murdered children. Fortunately, their move worked. The police increased the size of the manpower used in the investigation, as well as the amount of the reward money for tips. More importantly, people from the communities became more active in safeguarding their children. However, it was inevitable that there would still be some children that would slip through the cracks. One of them was 13-year-old Clifford Jones, who was merely visiting the city from Cleveland. He disappeared on August 20th, 1980. He was later found strangled behind a dumpster located at the back of the former Hollywood Plaza shopping center. His murder garnered the attention of national media, pushing the Atlanta authorities into action. The FBI was officially requested to join the investigation. 5 of the top homicide detectives in the country were asked to consult, and there were 2 U.S. Justice Department officials present to provide support. With the help of an expert from the FBI Behavioral Sciences Unit, they profiled the murders. The children, all of whom had been of African American descent, had vanished in broad daylight in fairly public areas, but their bodies were found in desolate locations. However, they were all within a particular geographic perimeter. The suspect is likely to be someone black, allowing him to easily access the children of the community without arousing suspicion. All of these suggest that the perpetrator was a killer acting alone. As the police continued to investigate, they found that many of the bodies had the same yellow-green nylon fiber on them. The lack of other evidence pushed the detectives to focus on this fiber, hunting down the manufacturer. Unfortunately, this lead and its significance were reported by the media, which may have caused the killer to suspect that he was going to be discovered. So the killer started to change his MO. Instead of desolate areas, he began to dump the bodies in the Chattahoochee River in order to wash away any evidence. Because of this, the task force started staking out several bridges at night, just waiting for the killer to take action again. On May 22, 1981, the detectives' actions paid off. One of the officers heard a splash beneath a bridge. Another one noticed a white 1970 Chevrolet station wagon turning around and driving back across the bridge. The vehicle was later stopped by 2 police cars around half a mile from the bridge. The driver was identified as 23-year-old Wayne Bertram Williams. According to Williams, he was a music promoter and freelance photographer, and he was on his way to audition a woman named Cheryl Johnson, who lived in the town of Smyrna. However, the police could not find any record of the woman or of the appointment. 2 days later, the body of Nathaniel Cater, 27, was found in the river, floating just a few miles away from where the police had seen the station wagon. Williams soon became the prime suspect. According to reports, the officers who had stopped Williams that night noticed a pair of gloves and a 24-inch nylon cord on his passenger seat. The cord looked similar to the ligature marks that the investigators found on Cater and other victims. Not only that, but it was also later discovered that Williams used to give out flyers inviting young people ages 11 to 21 to audition for his new singing group. That's not all. When the investigators finally traced the manufacturer of the fiber, they matched it with the type of carpet that was inside Williams's home. Aside from the carpet, fibers from a bedspread and yellow blanket from Williams's bedroom, as well as dog hairs from his family's mixed-breed German Shepherd, were found on the victims. There were also some testimonies from witnesses that claimed to have seen Williams with some of the dead children. Moreover, Williams had failed the FBI's polygraph test a number of times. Due to all of these, Wayne Williams was arrested on June 21st that year. However, he could only be directly linked to 2 of the murders, Nathaniel Cater and Jimmy Ray Payne, aged 22, both of whom were adults. The trial began on January 6, 1982. Williams was convicted of the murder of the 2 young men on February 27th. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. Coincidentally or not, the murders stopped as soon as Williams was arrested, and there has been nothing like them since. Though the case has been closed, not everyone is convinced that Wayne Williams is the perpetrator of the Atlanta child murders. For one, he was never tried for any of the child murders. Second, some of the victims' parents didn't believe that he was responsible. Third, there was a lack of physical evidence linking Williams to some of the victims. Some of the eyewitness accounts were conflicting. So if it wasn't Williams, who is the Atlanta child murders killer? Well, there are quite a few theories, the most prominent of which involves the Ku Klux Klan. According to conspiracy theorists, the KKK members planned to kill more than 24 black children in order to incite a race war. The theory was backed up by a report published in Spin magazine in 1985 that claimed the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI, had covered up evidence that implicated a member of the KKK in the murders. According to the report, the GBI suppressed the evidence to prevent racial strife. Williams's defense team even claimed that he was made a scapegoat just so that the authorities could close this politically rife case. Another theory that was proposed involved a pedophile ring operating in Atlanta. According to this theory, Williams may have been part of this ring and was involved in some of the crimes or was used to cover for the activities of more powerful individuals. The most accepted theory is that Williams may not have been the sole perpetrator of all the murders. He may have been guilty of committing some of the crimes, but not all of them. So, which is it? Was Williams the real Atlanta child murders killer? Or was he a scapegoat that was used by authorities to downplay the severity of the situation, as well as protect the reputation of the law enforcement agencies and the city? In 2007, the state of Georgia allowed the dog hair found in some of the crime scenes to undergo DNA testing. The results showed that the hair contained the same mitochondrial DNA sequence as Williams' dog. In layman's terms, this sequence only occurs in 1 out of 100 dogs. While it is not conclusive, it does have a fairly significant impact on Williams' possible guilt. In the same year, the FBI also tested the DNA found on 2 human hairs that were discovered on one of the victims. According to the results, the mitochondrial DNA matched Williams. Experts state that this test eliminates 98% of African American individuals. The fact that it did match Williams' DNA means that he couldn't be eliminated as a suspect. More importantly, it highlights the likelihood that he was the murderer. In 2019, Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Atlanta Police Chief Erica Shields announced that they would be testing the evidence gathered from the murders. However, no results have been released as of today. So what do we think most likely happened to all those children between the years of 1979 to 1981? Based on the evidence, we can conclude that some of the murders were likely to have been committed by Wayne Williams. He matched the profile. He scouted children within that age range for his supposed band. He was seen leaving the scene of the dump site just minutes after the officers heard a splash. He couldn't provide a solid alibi for many of the murders. More importantly, his hair and his dog's hair were both found in some of the crime scenes. Take note, we said some. This is because there's nothing that could definitively connect Williams to the other murders. Maybe he was more cautious at those times, or maybe he just got lucky. But most likely, he simply didn't do them. It's not unusual for copycat murders to occur during a serial killer's crime spree. It's also not unusual for some evil-minded individuals to take advantage of the current environment to cover up their own misdeeds. Maybe we'll know the truth once the DNA test results come out. For now, we can only pray for the families of the victims still waiting for justice. If you love our content and want to support the channel, feel free to check our web shop where you can find exclusive true crime merch brought to you by Bad Things.